Alright, hello and welcome back to the channel, and we're back on to Slam. Now, last time we left off, a car accident had just happened, our friend is injured, he wants to carry on with the NCAA Division I Wrestling Championship, he still wants to compete, I'm probably gonna fight him, but that's his decision to make. So let's get right into it. The next few days went by in a haze. You hadn't been drinking, so the reactions of friends and family were more sympathetic than accusatory. But that didn't erase the image of JJ lying on the grass, clutching his bleeding leg. However, while you were preoccupied off the mat, your focus returned during your matches. In fact, you've never been so driven, so composed. You executed every move, every tactic with brutal efficiency. And you weren't the only one on a roll. If you hadn't known better, you wouldn't have thought that JJ was injured, but you did. And as you watched him make out victories over inferior opponents, you felt... I'm worried, man. I'm worried. He's injured. He might get seriously hurt. Winning was important, but not at the cost of JJ's long-term health. He shouldn't be pushing himself. Not this hard. Not this soon. On the third day of the tournament, no one was surprised that you and JJ were competing in the finals. This was the showdown everyone had been anticipating, but it was not the one that you'd envisioned. You reminded yourself that this was what he wanted. JJ had always been a fierce competitor. Conflict and competition, the only idols he worshipped. During one of the few times that he'd spoken of romance, he said that his ideal partner would be one that could go toe-to-toe with him. No question about it, JJ would come out swinging. The question was, would you? Could you? I decided I would. I wouldn't win. Well, duh. I'm gonna go all out to win. Injury or not, you'd fight to win. JJ was the one who decided to compete hurt. You'd cut him no slack. That's how he'd want it anyway. The first few minutes of the match were inconclusive, hesitant. You and JJ both knew each other too well. It was move, reversal, escape, move, over and over and over while waiting for one of you to make a... And there it was. JJ gave up his leg, letting it stay down a second too long. You dove for it, hooked it, and lifted him high, not even thinking about the injury, not thinking about anything but winning, then slammed him shoulders first into the mat. Looking back, you're still not certain that you heard the crack of bone breaking. You do remember the sticky feeling and looking down to see JJ's blood on your hands and on the mat. He was screaming in pain, and all you could do was step back as the medical staff rushed him to a waiting ambulance. You didn't even realize that you were being proclaimed champion until you heard the applause. Well, now I know who the better man was. It's his fault. It's his fault. I don't give a shit. Maybe next time you fought, it'd be different, but for now, you're the winner. You're better. I mean, he's the one who wanted to drink and wanted to hang out, so it really is only his fault. I have nothing to do with this. You never heard from JJ again, after all was said and done. It wasn't just that you didn't communicate, he just seemed to drop off the map. He closed his social network accounts, withdrew from his other friends and family. No one had seen hide nor hair of JJ Delgado for 2 years, until he landed on the cover of Masters of Wrestling. David, Massachusetts. Sagamore versus Wolf Erickson, 11:16 into the match. There's a sound that the perfect dropkick makes, a certain meaty slap when boots hit a forearm or a chest or a jaw, a sound that makes people take notice. It's one of those basic moves that just looks difficult enough that the crowd never takes for granted if done right. You spring up quickly from the mat, resisting the urge to let out a whoop. A whoop? Who lets out whoops? From the exhilaration that comes from landing a good move. Even after almost 2 years in the BWF, there's still no rush like it. Today you have the privilege of being in the ring with one of the best wrestlers. Seasoned pro is an understatement. Sagamore, or Sagamore 2 to be precise, is a legend among wrestlers, although criminally unknown to mainstream fans. An institution in British wrestling for over 2 decades, Sagamore was recruited by the GWA 10 years ago, but was a victim of horrible booking. He was reduced to a comedy act before calling it quits. Their loss, BWF's gain. The crowd starts chanting his name, and he rushes towards me, and I try another dropkick. Bucket. As planned, he evades you. Of course. and then takes you down with a hip toss. Before you can get up, the old Brit pushes you down to the mat, applying pressure to your back with his shoulder as he wrenches your arm out and behind you. You grit your teeth as Sagamore pushes your shoulder towards your ear. Sagamore wrestles stiff, which means he doesn't hold back. Escape, chop miss, hit me. That's what he's murmuring. He's calling spots. He's calling spots! Everyone talks too much. You grunt as you get one of your knees beneath Sagamore's body. Body. English is not my first language, giving you a base from which to push up and against a hold, allowing you to throw him off your arm in a believable fashion. The two of you find your footing almost simultaneously, but Sagamore attacks first with a high chop. Forewarned, you dodge a low, then decide to hit him with a powerbomb. You kick Sagamore in the gut. PB, you whisper, and with significant effort, you manage to lift Sagamore up so that his legs are atop your shoulders and let him fall back first onto the mat. The legend is on the ropes and the crowd boos wildly. I feel like shouting a little yourself. Even after 28 matches with each other over the past 4 months, you still can't believe you're in the ring with the Sagamore. He's been wrestling for the independents since finally quitting the GWA or being fired and whoever you believe, and for the past 3 years had been the star attraction on the BWF. But after 3 decades, as he calls it, bouncing around as he calls it, Sagamore is finally retiring. This is his final tour, and he's chosen you to be his final opponent, and the one he ultimately loses the title to in his last match. When he and Vinny told you about it, you felt happy. Can't wait to be champion. You miss an elbow drop. The old Brit catches you with a few quick kicks to the thigh, then whips you against the ropes. You hook your arms around the top rope to keep yourself from bouncing back and into Sagamore's winning attack. You smirk at him, then slip under the bottom rope and out of the ring, brushing your hands at the old Brit and turning to argue with a fan who is right behind the railing that keeps the crowd at bay. As you get in the fan's face, actually a wrestling student, you begin the silent count. 1, 2, 3. You turn just in time to catch Sagamore as he dives through the ropes and hits you with open palm, sending you right into the railing. The crowd chanting that he still got it, like that was ever in doubt. You'll be feeling this bump all the way to the hotel watering hole. The traditional postcard gathering is in full swing, so I'm meeting up with the guys. Excuse me, mister. Wolf Erickson, was it? I'm sorry to be a bother, but my son and I are staying at the hotel tonight. He would just not give me a moment's peace unless I brought him in here to ask for your autograph. I'm not gonna disappoint a little boy, kayfabe or not. Fuck kayfabe. Kayfabe's dead. Sure, but only if you tell people I was horrible to you. Thank you, and her own smile takes a decade from her, at least. At least. She leads their son back out the door, the little boy practically skipping the whole while. And that little boy grew up to become a AJ Lee. You sure know how to grab heat. Lesnar. I have to say it like that. That's how I wrote it. I know. Next time I'll hit him with a chair. Wise ass. You hear a commotion towards the entrance. There's something regal about the way Edward Maven Brooks carries himself. That's Sagamore. A maskless Sagamore. He's not so much muscular as he is solid. The old Brit trades handshakes. For many of them, tonight's the last night they will ever share a car with Sagamore. Only a few wrestlers will be involved in a joint show that will serve as Sagamore's final match. You and the others rise to your feet. Brooks trades barbs and shakes hands with everyone until he finally gets to you. You stretch out your hand to him and say nothing because they like to do all the talking. You hit me with 2 drop kicks in 4 minutes. That's repetitious, young lad. You've got to keep things fresh. Listen, I understand you're a vigorous young lad, but you've also got to take your opponent's condition into account. I can still take my bumps and bruises, and bounces, I don't know where I read bruises, but try a powerbomb on someone else my age, and you risk doing real harm. I wouldn't say it was a good match, but you're getting there, young lad. Now all you need to do is... Here we go. Sagamore's traditional post-match breakdown. He was always polite, but always opinionated, and legend has it, he doesn't believe that he's had a good match in 2 decades. I mean, he's an experienced guy. I think he's like the William Regal of this world, so I welcome William Regal's feedback. The way you see it, every tip you get from the world-traveling, well-respected, classically trained Sagamore gets you that much closer to the wrestler you've always wanted to be. Not that you've ever told him that. I'm weird. I want to squeeze the wrestling knowledge out of his brain with my bare hands and suck on that sweet, sweet nectar. I'm weird. I'm so weird. Eventually, Sagamore finishes his critique of your match. You and the legend have one more battle in the pipeline, his big farewell at the Mueller Albert Ballroom, and you're going to make it a personal mission to learn all that you can from the old Brit. As the night rolls on and the empty bottles pile up, the worst venue, let's see. I wasn't there for that one. Hold on, I'm confused. Who's talking? Okay. I wasn't there for... Now I'm talking. I wasn't there for that one, but even if I had been, I'd still think you guys are dead wrong. It's got to be... the fucking Texas minefield. I don't want to fucking wrestle in a minefield. You wrestled in a minefield? Not in the military sense, more in a DIY sort of way. It was this booking we took on the side, me, Troll, and a few others. It was in this abandoned barn up in the middle of nowhere for the, what they call the Fed again? Paranoia Pro Wrestling, which I suppose should have been our first clue, that and all the barbed wire around the property. I just thought they were into death matches, and they were, but not the intentional kind. At first, we thought this was all ancient history, and then the promoter mentioned that they were lucky they were able to finish all their preparations by that morning. The clincher, of course, was when these maintenance guys came running with a dirty stick of TNT. Far from ideal. If I may ask, did you two still go on to wrestle? Of course. Hey, we're professionals, right? Of course we went on. Wrestled for a good 20 minutes. It was a mad wrestling clinic. Largely because we were too afraid to do anything that would shake the ring, so no suplexes, no drop kicks. Heck, I don't even think the ref hit the mat when he was counting. Well, young lads. Usually it's the veteran who has the best stories, but there's nothing I can say that will beat that one. Here's to this daft, dastardly life, my fine friends. I can do a mean British accent. By mean, I don't mean good. By mean, I mean bad. Like the actual meaning of the word mean. What do you drop kicking? Oh, no, not the fucking wrestling terms again. This is bad writing. The whole game is well written, but this is bad. Just what I said Curtis Jackman. So why didn't you drop kick and tell me about this last week? Why didn't you tell them? Why didn't you cancel the show? We've got to go on with the show. I need to get that deposit back. They used my money for it, and I'm already in the red. What am I, a leg dropping charity? Don't use me to clean up your mess in a show. This is supposed to be a joint 3-hour show. I bring the star power, you bring the manpower. That was the deal. I only brought 4 wrestlers with me, and only 2 are worth a damn. I might be able to convince a few others to appear. Listen, Edward, you deserve a better send-off than this. We'll reschedule. Put on a show worthy of you. This is my last show, Vinny. By hook or by crook. I won't get paid if I refund tickets, but I want to say I'm a professional. We came here to put on a show, so let's put on a show. Sagamore claps you on the shoulder and gives you a smile. Well then, geniuses. You guys figure out how to book a 3-hour show with 7 wrestlers. I'll be setting up the merchandise stands. What are we going to do, sir? I'll let the young lad decide. What? Vinny sees a bright future for you. Lesnar. And I agree. It's why he paired us up for my last run, so I could train you up. That involves more than giving you a drubbing in the ring. Letting you deal with the ups and downs of the business is another. So show me what you've got. So then I began when Sagamore announced his retirement. As he was cutting an emotional promo, Broken Shell began to blare, and you came out of the ring to challenge him, telling him that it was about time that he retired, that he couldn't compete at your level anymore. You asked him to spare himself the embarrassment and simply cede the title to you. Said he threw me out of the ring, and he gave me 29 chances, one for each year he'd been in the business. Final match is a home weapons match. You can imagine stretching that match to more than 30 minutes. Fans expect them to be brutal, but what else can you do to fill the hours without extending all the match? Have extended dueling promo segments, yeah. We'll double the length of the undercard matches, but we'll open with dueling promos from me and Sagamore. Bold yet risky, it's hard to keep a crowd's interest with an extended talking segment. Seriously, you have a problem with it? You just tell me how long you want them at the edge of their seats, young lad. I'm sorry, it's just hard to believe that this is his promo, by the way. This is going to be my last time in a Quacktown ring. The crowd eats it all up, and from your position behind the curtain you can see quite a few men and women have begun to tear up. Marks. Oh god, they'll buy into anything if you spin the story well enough. Oh man, that was too funny not to say. Man. You wait for Sagamore himself to begin to tear up, his voice hoarse, waiting for your cue to rain on the parade. There are people who put me on the pedestal, but I've always taken the most pride in just being an entertainer, in entertaining all of you, because it's the least I can do after all you've given me. I am a proud man, but before you now, in the presence of all of you, I am well and truly humbled. I'm gonna get that cheap heat. Draw a parallel between the old Brit and Quacktown. Sounds like you're not welcome here, young lad. Of course not. It's you they cheer, and you know what? I'm glad, old man. I'm glad for that, and let me tell you why. It's because you and this bottom of the barrel waste of space of a town belong together. This place has been left behind, and I say good riddance to it. Good riddance to the old, to the obsolete, to the over the hill, and good riddance to your old, obsolete, over the hill ass, Sagamore. Because after I'm through with you, you'll have one more thing in common with most of these quacks. You'll be a jobless piece of... Sagamore hits you with a hard right across the jaw, and the crowd roars. He continues his assault until you slide out of the ring and retreat towards the back, selling the blow. I may be unemployed next week, but tonight I'm going to make it my job to put you out of business. You've got a talent as a talker. I don't think I need to tell you how important that is for a heel who isn't the 7-foot-tall giant. I saw your initial BWF vignettes and I thought you were good then, but you took it a whole other level today. Thank you, Sagamore. Any regrets at the end? I've seen a lot of things in 3 decades of wrestling. Been a lot of things. Been on top. Been at the very bottom. Do you know, young lad, I've known some workers who can count the number of miles that they travel. Always seemed a bit of a waste to me. That's not the number that matters. When I started out, what I tried to keep track of was the number of hours I spent in the ring, in front of a crowd. I lost track at around 10,150. What can a man create in 10,000 hours, do you think? A temple, a garden, a fortune, a family? I've made nothing so concrete. What I have to show are the only 3 things that this business of ours can promise. Fans, friends, foes. The first group seldom know my face, much less the real me. The second only become that when you stop being a threat to them. But foes... foes, you can always count on them. My foes are what get me out of bed in the morning. Every match is another chance to make them eat crow. to prove them wrong, to show him that if he'd only booked you well, given you a fair shake, you would have balanced the costs, justified his beliefs. He said he. He switched to he midway. I apologize, lad. That was unprofessional of me. I won't miss this life, but I regret the fact that leaving it will mean some wrongs will never be made right. It's not my place to speak. Sorry to bother you, but Brock has an old friend here to see him. Me? You sure this isn't like that time in Texas and... Oh, I'm sure you know this guy. Sagamore is already waving you off. Go on, we have some time before you take my title. Vinny sent word that he wants to talk to me before we head out anyway. Gris? As strong as ever, I see. And as strong as ever is where we're leaving this episode. Next episode, we're going to talk to Gris and fight the old man and take the title, hopefully. I think there's no funny business involved here. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like. It shows your support, and it's nice to see that little blue bar go. I think it's blue. I can't remember. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the series so far, what you thought of this episode, and I'll see you in the next episode. See ya.